Morning, all. All right, so the one game again tonight, and then some news of the day. The one game being Tampa, New York Islanders. This is game three, and the first two games have shown these teams are close. And Tampa Bay does pretty well with seven guys on the ice. Barry Trotz wasn't happy about that last game, so we'll see how things go tonight. Islander fans, of course, will be probably pretty loud. Uh, Probably, depending on your point of view, you might find them obnoxious. You might find them charming. You could find them on any level of the spectrum that you'd like. But it's going to be quite the game. I think these teams are again. I think the familiarity they have with one another makes a big difference, and that's it. The interesting part to me is going to be okay. So, how long of a leash does either goaltender have for the Islanders? Does Wallstrom get back in tonight? Like, he's healthy enough, but Trotz won't change the lineup unless he has to in most cases, but you're coming off of a loss, so maybe he throws him in here. We'll see what they do. But it should be an interesting game tonight, and whoever wins the game tonight likely ends up winning the series, right? Series that are tied at one, and then the team that wins game three usually will win the series. Carolina news. So it's official. As I reported yesterday, they were leaning towards it, and Brind'Amour has signed the 3-year extension with Carolina. So, again, it was seen that might have been holding up some of the other coaching jobs in the NHL, that they were waiting to see what Brind'Amour was going to do. He's staying with Carolina. So, it is the longest run of success Carolina's ever had, is with him at the helm. And so, this is a good sign that they're going to keep going and have some more success again next season, right? So, kudos to Brind'Amour and the Canes on figuring that out. They announced the GM of the Year finalists today. The finalists are Marc Bergevin of the Montreal Canadiens, Lou Lamoriello of the New York Islanders, which will definitely trigger some of the internet, and Bill Zito in Florida, which may or may not trigger some of the internet as well. The debate about whether or not Lou Lamoriello is a good GM, I'm bewildered by it, since he's been a GM for decades and he's done a very good job and he's got cup rings, but there are those who will say, well, remember, he signed Komarov. Yeah, Komarov's been looking pretty good these playoffs. It's not all about points. But yeah, so this is voted on after the second round. As I've sometimes suggested, maybe we should vote on other things. But, this is one of those instances where Bergevin, if it had been voted on at the end of the regular season, may not have got as many votes as he got now. But there you go. So two of the four GMs that still have teams in the running are up for the award, as well as Bill Zito, who got Florida into the playoffs, right? And the NHLPA vote came out today as well. And some of the notables, there are a lot of awards there, like best dressed and all that. But the ones that are interesting, Ovechkin, the NHLPA said has the best shot. He was the one that was voted to have the best shot. The most complete player was a tie this year between Sidney Crosby and Patrice Bergeron. So, yeah, and I can't argue with those two picks being the best complete player. They're very good defensively and offensively. So there you go. Best goaltender, Andrei Vasilevsky, and best defenseman, Victor Hedman. So again, and I always find it funny that people will argue this and they'll say, well, they don't really know what they're talking about. Hedman's not the best defenseman. Why are players saying that? But if people have also made the argument of, well, you never played in the NHL, so you don't know what you're talking about. Well, these are guys who played in the NHL, so they should know what they're talking about. Can't have it both ways. So, yeah, they will try. People will try. I found out over the last 5 years, people will definitely try to argue that the only opinion that matters is theirs. You didn't play in the NHL. No, I didn't. But what about the NHLers? They say Hedman's the best defenseman. Well, what did they know? I see. That's a very tight, solid argument you got going on there. What about coaches? Coaches don't know anything. General managers, they're morons. So only you then. Yeah, me and my buddies on the internet, we're the ones that know everything. Have you been called by NHL teams to come in and coach or develop or scout? No? That's really weird. I find that bizarre. Anyhow, let's move on to Ottawa, and Hogberg will be leaving Ottawa. So I wore Ottawa jersey. I've got an Ottawa logo on there just to tell you Hogberg's not coming back. Hogberg likely wasn't in their plans anyways. 4-year deal. He has signed to return to Sweden. So the picture in Ottawa gets a little bit clearer, I guess. But again, I don't think Hochberg would have been the guy that they were leaning on coming back as either a backup. Obviously not as the starter with the amount of money Murray's making. But their goaltending picture kind of fascinating by the end of the year. We'll see who the top two guys are in the fall. Liam Kirk. So for fans on the other side of the pond, fans from Britain, from the UK, listen up. Liam Kirk is allowed to talk to other teams. The Coyotes have said that he can talk to other teams. They own his rights, so technically if they don't give him the permission to speak to other teams, then it's considered tampering. But odds are somebody may very well offer him some kind of a contract, and then the Coyotes would work out a trade. So it'd be a sign and trade situation. They hold his rights until next year. So if Liam Kirk wants to come over and play in North America, apparently he hasn't been able to work anything out with Arizona. But if he can work it out with another team, he may very well be on his way over next year. So fascinating to see. I did a video on Liam Kirk before, and I've talked about him before, and yeah, we'll see how things turn out. Elliot Friedman, and here we go. Here we go. Apparently, Florida has interest in Laine. May very well have interest in Laine again, according to Elliot Friedman. And Barkov and he are good friends, and so the idea would be to put the two of them together. Right? At the very least on the same team. Columbus might be interested in trading Laine based on how he played and the fact that his contract's up. But they're already looking at Seth Jones and the possibility of having to trade Jones. Is it a complete teardown we're going to look at in Columbus? So that's the question I have. If they do trade Jones and if they do find themselves in a position where Laine is being traded off, are you in a rebuild? The weird thing to me is, I can't understand this from a Florida perspective because they have no problem finding scoring in their lineup. None. Their scoring is just, it's everywhere in this lineup from line 1 through to line 4. And if you're going to acquire Laine, well then you're probably going to have to give up a goal scorer to Columbus unless Columbus is doing some sort of a rebuild, right? So I'm not sure this necessarily works. Now, I mean, Laine has shown in his career at times that when he's dialed in and he's playing well, he can look like a 50-goal scorer. The consistency hasn't been there. At times, it's looked like the work ethic isn't quite where you'd want it to be, and his numbers this year weren't very good. So, I mean, you'd be buying low on him with the idea that he's going to get back to what he was, but I don't know that it's there. I don't know that I have faith in that being there right now. I know he's still young, but I do have my doubts. So we'll see what happens there, right? Travis Hamonic. So Hamonic, of course, played in Calgary. Just finished up his season in Vancouver. And I liked him in Vancouver. I'd like to see him come back. I know Vancouver's, receptive to bringing him back. There was a big difference on the blue line when he was in compared to when he was out. So, and it'd be nice to see somebody who's playing with Hughes stick around because Tanev left, and now if Hamonic leaves, just saying. But Hamonic, if he does hit the UFA market, apparently will be listening to offers outside of just Western Canada. Again, this is from Elliot Friedman reporting that Hamonic reports are that he may be willing to go wherever the offer that fits best is. So maybe that's Vancouver. Vancouver can at least say, look, you'll get ice time here, you'll get an opportunity to play. Other teams might say, you know what, you may end up being lower on one of the lower rungs on the blue line, but we'll give you a chance to win. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of Luke Schenn. Luke Schenn probably could have stayed in Vancouver and played more than he's played in Tampa, but that cup ring probably feels pretty good too. So, right? So we'll see what Hamonic does. Should be fascinating. But again, I'd like to see him come back to Vancouver. Wish him the best wherever he goes, but we'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And who wins tonight? Islanders or Tampa? And does the win tonight mean it's probably going to end up being the series? Or do we then look at Game 4 and go, okay, whoever wins this one wins the series? Let me know your thoughts. And hey, I'll talk to you guys again soon.